Okay, so now we're officially recording. It is 11/7/2022, and this is the beginning of week 3 of Principles of Business. We have quite a crowd here. I have 10 students out of 14, so that is a pretty good turnout. So I really like that. That is awesome. Now, so I'll go back to, does anybody have any questions or concerns from last week? Anything needs to be covered, worried about? I'm assuming no. All right, so the other thing is, and I'm going to get back on my soapbox for a moment, which is discussions. If grade is not where you think it needs to be, it is probably because you have not done your discussions, or you haven't done all of them. Discussions in this class is 1/5 or 20% of your grade, so that is two letter grades you could be losing because you didn't do them. For the most part, the grades in this class are pretty good. And the other thing that hurts you is getting behind on the Cengage assignments, which there are a few people who have done that, but for the most part, about up. Like I said, the grades look pretty good comparatively. Now, people like Natisha, which I'm bragging on her, she has already finished all. Yeah, Raven, you can just send me an email. Let me know you did it, so I know go back to look for them. Let me see how I can look here, and because, yep. And also that brings me to, there are two discussions due. There are two peer discussions due for each one. I had some people not do them at all or only do one. So you're leaving points on the table. So otherwise, but like I said, the grades aren't bad. I was going to brag on Natisha when I got distracted here. She has completed all the Cengage stuff already, so which is awesome. And Laura is right behind her with just a few more to go. And right behind her is Aaron. So and just piling up the hundreds. So I really like that. That is awesome. And like I said, if you need to get caught up on anything else, just or if you have any questions, let me know. All right, so we are going to look. We're going to make life a whole lot easier, maybe. We're talking about marketing a business is what week 3 is completely about. And then part of that is business communication, which I'm going to skip over because we do have an entire class on business communication. Glenda says that she catch up on her pair posts as well. Yes. Just shoot me an email and make sure I know that you did them so I can go back and look. Usually they give me a signal that you've done them, but sometimes if it's past the due date, they don't always do that. So I said, just shoot me a quick email or something to say, hey, I did those, and I will go back and grade them. So I was going to skip past business communication just because we do an entire class on that. We also have the chapter, that would be chapter 5, and then we have chapter 11, which is marketing, called building profitable customer connections, and then 13, which is distribution and pricing, right product, right person, right place, right price. Also on the, I was going to skip past chapter 11 on the marketing because we do have a professional sales class as well. I think everybody here is going to be taking. And so I like to save some of this stuff get talked about for those class. I think Bob usually does a professional sales class. He really likes that. Has anyone done? Oh, And Melinda says she's going to be down for 10 weeks. So have lots of time on her hands soon. So I assume it's some sort of medical surgery thing, which I'm not going to ask because she might tell me. And, that's people have weird stuff done. So, uh, and I've been going through all the medical stuff with my mom lately too. I'm so tired of doctors and hospitals. We could, scream. So we're going to talk about chapter 13 here, which is distribution and pricing, right product, right price. There are a few video clips here I would just like to go through, if that's okay with everyone. And most of these are really short. So I'm going to share my screen and share my sound. And we will go through that. And let me know if you cannot hear this for some reason. And do it do-si-do.
Ricardo, what's up?
Hey, Caleb. Sorry. What? Yeah. I'm at the stand. Did you get a chance to check on the delivery at Tucker's restaurant?
Tomatoes, strawberries, corn. All good, is that it?
Actually, I kind of wanted to pick your brain about something. Can you come back to the farm?
Nope. I'm headed out to a new account on the shore in a bit. Everything okay?
Here's the deal. My experience is in industrial distribution, wholesaling, managing supply chain, delivery, and inventory. When I took the job, it seemed like a no-brainer. Now, I'm starting to feel like we can do better. Noticing a lot of waste. You're getting complaints about damaged and bad produce.
Yeah, I know.
Ideas?
Well, this is my thing, but maybe organized by the product. Potatoes, onions, apples, the hardier stuff can go on the truck for weekly deliveries. Then maybe move all the herbs, tomatoes, lettuces, berries, whatever, to a different schedule.
Dual distribution system. Yeah, that makes sense.
Like Tuck will order a bushel of turnips and sit on them for a week at least. That could definitely be a big truck thing.
On a weekly schedule?
Whatevs. Oh, and I know some of the chefs would love to be able to go online, zap me an order at the end of dinner service, and pick it up first thing in the morning.
JIT, yes!
Huh?
Just-in-time inventory. We've got this small distribution center in the city that's really underutilized.
Actually, I think the chefs would love to just use this like a farmer's market. Head down there at 5 a.m., poke around. I don't know if we could do that, though.
So they actually want a retail location? Would they place orders there or just shop?
Shop, I guess. Pretty sure they'd still want all that going to their accounts with Urban Farms.
Oh, okay. I'm liking this. We'll need to barcode everything in the city to link back to me here. Minor hassle, but I think we could work on it. Thanks.
There you go. Okay, that was Shay Terrible, but he brought up some pretty good stuff, which is one things we learn about is just in time, and that is so people don't have to warehouse their products. What the largest vehicle manufacturer in the world is in Germany for Volkswagen, and it's actually the size of a city. Their manufacturing plant. They have buses that take you from one end to the factory to the other on. And then once you get in, they will give you bicycles or a tram to take you through your actual facility. And so this place is huge. And most of that is going to be dedicated to manufacturing, not to storing their goods. So they they cut deals with their suppliers all over the world, China, India, Indonesia, other parts of Europe, to deliver what they need, what they call just in time, to go almost directly on the manufacturing floor. And so, which is really cool. So no parts for a car will sit on site for more than a day before it's actually completed. So they have to have a real sophisticated system to track all that. But at the same time, that means, they don't have unused warehouse space, and they're not paying for product that's just sitting there waiting to be used. Has anyone ever heard of just in time with your supply chain?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. It's if you can pull it off, it's a neat deal. I've dealt like when I was with the oil company and stuff, we used kind of a just in time light, which we kept a certain amount of product, but we kept it, flowing from the refinery at given intervals, so we didn't have an overstock, and we could minimize our space for holding product. Now, and so the truck would come by, fill up our big tanks, and we would fill up drums for it, and then we would fill those up no more than a day or two before they were to be delivered, so we wouldn't have them all sitting around just waiting. We had other places for that space. So that's a neat deal. Always thought it was cool that some of these really savvy manufacturers can, like in the Volkswagen plant, if you ever get to see what they do, that part comes in, they immediately pull it and send it out to the floor, and it immediately goes into the car it's supposed to go into. And as these cars go to the assembly line, all the different trim levels, all the different colors are on the same on the same assembly line, and that they can even paint them. One car be white, the next one silver, the next one black, the next one red, on and on and on, without having to do anything but just move it along the assembly line. And so all these little things make it really neat. Now, we also talk about supply chain management here a little bit. I believe a lot of people who really didn't even realize the term supply chain existed are now learning that it does, considering if you just look at your grocery shelves and trying to get, certain items, that because of what they call supply chain problems, we can't get them. One of them being superconductors. That's reason why all the new cars and a lot of new computers were unavailable in any sort of real amount, because we couldn't get the little chips we needed to make the new trucks, the new cars, and the new computers. And if I don't know how many people would drive by a new car dealership and realize that a lot of these dealerships are really, really low on stock. They did not have a whole lot of new cars and trucks. And so hence the increase in price of used cars and trucks. And as you, I don't know, I ask questions, but has anyone went to look for a car lately, went to buy a car the last year or so? No. Or a house, or to do any lumber work? Just bought one. How'd that go, Elise? Went okay. An Encore, nice. Well, you probably paid more than you would have a couple of years ago. I noticed, and this is the story I've told a lot, was I bought my little car when I left the pipeline. I gave up my truck and bought a little bitty Ford Focus hatchback. And that was back in December of 2020. And then the supply chain problems really began to hit. And so, and over this last year, my son has went to look for a car, bought a car. So has my daughter. And so I was with my son one time at a dealership, and he asked me if we were going to trade it in. And long story short, he offered me almost 4,000 more than I paid for it in trade-in. And I said, how can you do that? And he said, because he said he would put another $3,000 on it, put it on the lot, and it'd be gone in 3 days because there was such a shortage of cars. And so that gives you your supply demand curve. And when demand remains the same or goes up, and your supply drops, has been, then pricing is going to eventually go up. Yeah, I know, Elise, it was crazy. When my son finally bought a car, I think he paid $9,000 for a used car, a little Chrysler 200. But that, 2 years before, that would have been a $7,000 car. So, that's been a real issue. Like people live in like Wyoming, Laura, if you need like a 3/4 ton pickup or some, good luck, because they want 1,000 prices for those.
I have 2 vehicles, a car and a pickup truck, so I don't need any more cars.
Well, I gave up my truck, and then I decided that if I needed one, I just borrow my son-in-law. So I got me a little bitty car, which I'm glad I did. I wasn't thinking that we're going to have $5 a gallon gas then, but I'm glad that I got a nice economical vehicle. And I will say, at least the Encores are nice. Encores are really nice. I believe that's what Bob had that he just traded in, and I really like that. So speaking of supply chain, excellent gas mileage. Yep, 1.5 liter turbo charged engine, I believe. So now I am assuming that everybody, you can see my screen though, right? On the share, okay. Usually there's a border around it, so I'm not sure why it's not there now.
Imagine all of a business's entities and partners, from the initial product suppliers to the end customer, as a river that twists and turns, but sure enough, carries the product from the beginning to the end. This is the ultimate goal of supply chain management. Supply chain management aims to coordinate and integrate all of the activities performed by the various supply chain members into a single unified system. Why? By managing the supply chain well, companies can reduce costs and at the same time provide better service, delivering more desirable products at better prices to customers. In fact, customers play a central role in supply chain management logistics today. They don't just expect to receive products quickly and at a fair price. They expect to receive them in configurations tailored exclusively to their unique needs. There are 8 critical business processes on which supply chain managers must focus. The first 2 are customer relationship management and customer service management. Other key processes are demand management and order fulfillment, manufacturing flow management and supplier relationship management, and lastly, product development and commercialization and returns management. The philosophy behind supply chain management is that by visualizing and exerting control over the entire supply chain managers can balance supply and demand, maximize strengths, and increase efficiencies at every link in the chain. In fact, research has shown a clear relationship between supply chain performance and both profitability and company value.
So we talked real quickly about supply chain management. Now, Milton Friedman has a really good video out there. I don't know if any Milton Friedman fans here, The Economist. He does an excellent video from back in the day. I don't think he's been gone a long time, on just what it takes to make a pencil. How many different types of materials, suppliers, and knowledge goes into just making one pencil. Maybe I'll find that for next week, and I thought I'd bring it to you guys because it's just kind of interesting in economic terms. So, and then finally, we'll do a quick pricing strategies here, and then we'll go through some of these questions and see if we can help get some of this done.
Price plays a key role in determining the demand for a product, which in turn influences that product's profitability. Striking the right balance between pricing and profitability is one of the most challenging and important tasks in business. So, what's the right price to charge for a product? In addition to the costs associated with producing the product, marketers must also consider competitors' prices, investors' demand for return, taxes, and investment in the development of future products. Higher profits are derived from higher sales volume, or higher prices, or lower costs, or a combination of all three. The correct pricing strategy is the one that leverages each of these factors according to the company's chosen approach. One strategy is to have rock bottom prices, but small profit margins, which are compensated for by a very large sales volume. Another strategy uses the loss leader approach. Lure shoppers with a few products at irresistible prices and assume that they will also purchase some higher profit products, thus compensating for the loss leaders. Some businesses would rather compete on product aspects like quality, features, and service, rather than on price. They price products to match competitors so that price is no longer a differentiating factor. How do these concepts translate into actual pricing numbers? One method is called the break-even. This strategy looks at how many products must be sold to cover all of the production costs. Another method, cost-based pricing, is to create a detailed analysis of what it costs to produce a single unit of the product, and then simply adding a desired or competitive percentage on top. A third method, demand-based pricing, is to determine what price a consumer is willing to pay for the product, and then creating cost targets to achieve that price point with reasonable profits. With these factors and strategies to consider, setting a price that is not too high and not too low is a complex dilemma indeed.
So these are just real quick videos to get us into the concept of like pricing strategies. And one of the things, and I'm gonna pick on Elise here, is always warn people. I'm not gonna really pick on you, Elise, but she did cost based, right? And because with your crafts, you can do that. Now, if you're a manufacturer of some type, you're going to have, I think we covered this a little bit in business math, which is you're going to have some fixed costs. That doesn't matter if you sell 10 of an item or if you sell 1,000 of an item, there are some costs that are going to remain the same. Building, your building's going to cost the same amount. Your rent or mortgage or payment on whatever building. Your utilities usually are going to be the same. You're going to pay for your CPA every month, okay, whether or not you sell 10 or 100 of an item, okay. Certain things you're just going to have to pay for that are going to remain the same, and then that's why we used what we called the break-even point. So we know how many of an item we'd have to sell to break even, cover our fixed and our variable costs. So, and also one of the costs, and this is why I said I might pick on Elise Stewart since we're so opposed politically, which is taxes. As a guy who has run several businesses in his time, taxes are a cost of doing business. When you tax a corporation, when you tax a business, we figure that into the cost of the product. And if taxes go up, we raise the cost of our product to make up for that. And so and many people don't realize that. So when you raise corporate taxes, you are actually taxing the consumer. Okay. A corporation usually never, they may write the check, but they're not the one paying the taxes. It goes into cost of doing business, just like if you're doing crocheting, just like yarn. You know, if you know the price of yarn and you know what your taxes are going to be, you bundle all that up into the price of your finished product. So just keep that in mind when you hear that companies don't pay taxes. Well, they usually really don't. Okay, they get us to pay for them. And that also, if you get into some of the more economics, you'll see they have things like value added taxes, where taxes are added each stage of the process as products move through the supply chain. You know, from the beginning, you know, from the wood or sand or whatever you're creating the product out of, all the way to the very end of the product. But that is all I'm going to say about that. So let's go through some of these questions since we got a little bit of time here, and let's help everybody out since you're here. Okay. And can we run through 20 questions in 27 minutes? I bet we can. All right, number one, and help me out here on your chats or whatever you need to do. Blank are distributors that buy products from producers and sell them to other businesses or non-final users such as hospitals, nonprofits, and government. Anybody? Not getting any answers out of that one.
I can't even hardly see the words.
Here, let me make it a little larger here. Does that help?
Wholesalers.
Wholesalers, I like that. All right, second one. Blank is a plan for delivering the right product at the right person, the right place, the right time. And I think we covered that.
Distribution strategy.
Yep. Distribution. In the context of role of distributors, Blank provides customer satisfaction by converting inputs into finished products.
Form unity.
Come on, guys, help her out. You can't expect her to do all of it. Well, you can, but it's not fair. Blank are distributors that sell products directly to the ultimate users, typically in small quantities, and are stored and merchandised on the premises. And that is retailers, right? One of the seems like the most necessary parts of a business and the most underappreciated. Oh. Because if anybody's ever worked in retail, you know how difficult it can be. And people are mean to you.
I
Blank
did
provided
retail for a bit. No, thanks.
do what?
I did retail for a bit. No, thanks.
I think most of us have. My daughter still does retail. She went from OSU to working at she works for an AT&T store here in town. And the reason she has not quit yet is because she makes really good money. They give a lot of sales incentives. You know, her bonuses are usually more than her paychecks. But she still hates it because people come in, they're mean. In fact, she called me about 2 weeks ago. It was on a weekend, and she said, "Dad, can you come down here? I'm at the store." Some guy was yelling at me over the phone and said he's going to be here in 15 minutes to take care of his problem. And so I had to go in there and set for him to come in. And the funny thing was, when he saw someone else, he pulled in the parking lot, and then he backed into the parking space, like spinning his wheels. And he got out and he went through the door and he saw other people, you know, somebody else was there, and he calmed down pretty quickly. but I think he thought he was going to come in and be hateful. So, and things like that in retail are, uh, it's just hard. That and fast food, people are mean to fast food workers too. Uh, I'm really nice to fast food workers and waitresses and people like that, because I like to keep the saliva content of my hamburger down to a bare minimum. Blank provide a complete array of services to the retailers or business users who typically purchase their goods.
B.
Full service merchant wholesalers. Even to Lisa, she's been a waitress for years, always nice. And yeah, even the terrible ones. I was telling my wife the other day that there is, I think food service is awful. Yes, Penny. That there's no, if you have a place where there are actual waitresses like some of these diners and stuff, I don't feel like they spend the time actually training their wait staff anymore. And it shows. They just pull them off the street as teenagers and say, here, go to work. Here's a menu and start taking orders. And so it's not always the waitress's fault that she hasn't been trained properly. Or him. I don't want to be sexist here. And then I hopped last week. Yep. And the poor kid probably didn't even know stuff from Sikkim. And you feel bad. Same thing I've noticed, a lot of times with the cooks at places like IHOPs and stuff. I don't think they're always trained real well, and you don't get a real consistency in the product. And that's, when I go to the same IHOP, I always want the food to be the same everywhere I go, regardless of who's doing it. You got a tip. Plus, does anybody know, at least, and I don't want to spend too much time on this, how much do they pay waitresses now or wait staff? It's not a whole lot still. $2.13. Wow. Blank tip is bread and drive their products to their customers, who are usually smaller grocery stores.
Truck jobbers.
Yep. You have, and if you notice, some of these larger retail stores, stuff like bread and chips and soda are actually taken care of by the distributors here. You don't, the chips and the Cokes and Pepsis and the breads are usually stocked by whoever supplies them, and the Little Debbie snack cakes as well. I think a lot of your convenience stores do that as well. If I remember, I almost took a job one time as a young man with a place, and they did the route sales on all these convenience stores, and it was cigarettes and candy. We pretty much handled all the cigarettes and candy, and we would come through and take the order, and then somebody else would deliver it. We'd come back through or supposed to come back through and put the product up for them. I did not take that job, by the way, because it sounded completely, horrible to me. So I didn't want to do that. Which of the following types of non-store retailing includes catalogs, telemarketing, advertising meant to elicit consumer sales?
Direct response.
Oh, I'm sorry, direct response retailing. Everybody's on it. Intensive distribution strategy works best for a store that consumers don't expect to find on every street corner. Low convenience goods that consumers won't travel too far to find. Luxury goods provides, just English is hard today. It seems hard every Monday. Luxury goods providers with a customer base that actively seeks their product, and stores that launch at the high end of the market. So intensive distribution. Anybody have any idea on that one? All right, so it's low cost convenience goods that consumers won't travel too far to find. Lots of everybody carries, right? Soda, candy, cigarettes, you know, and high dollar stuff. And that's the other, these convenience stores, if you ever notice, the reason, and most people, I guess, know this, on fuel, gas, and diesel, these gas stations don't make a whole lot of money per gallon. In fact, the amount of risk they take in to provide fuel is really quite impressive, because you have to sell, if somebody runs off with a tank full of fuel, 20 gallons, it takes a lot to pay for that. So that's why you have the markup on all the convenient stuff inside, the gum and the candy and the everything else. Blank is providing multiple distribution channels for consumers to buy a product.
Market retailing.
What, the channel retailing?
Market retail, yeah. Merchant, I'm sorry. Multi-channel retailing. I apologize.
Multi-channel retailing, that's right. And they kind of give you, if you think about the answer, multiple distributions for consumers. Well, we know for consumers is retailing, and when they give us multiple distribution points, multi-channel. So if some of these, a lot of these questions, if you really just sit and read them for a second, you can go, oh, that makes sense. Blanking is all methods of selling directly to customers in their homes or workplaces.
Direct selling.
Direct selling. When I was operations manager for an oil company, I also took on a sales route. We had one sales territory that was extremely geographically large, but it had very few customers in it. And so I went and I would drive through that thing. Take me about 3 days, once about every 3 weeks, drive through it and take orders and then try to find new customers in the area. And so that's, a lot of that is direct sales. We were selling oil products to big construction companies, big trucking companies, so we know what they needed. And it was a limited product base to a lot of people. Now, and I don't know if we talked about this before, the 80-20 rule. The 80% of your customers, or 80% of your sales, are going to come out of 20% of your product. And that rule it's almost like a physical law of nature. The same thing with 20% of my customers bought 80% of my product. The other 80% of the customers bought the other 20%. And it's a less intricate version of what we always call what's called the Pareto distribution, which I think I always try to bring up in every class. And the one way I use it here is if I have, and right now I have currently 28 plus 14 be 28, 38, 42. I currently have 42 students. If you take the square root of 42, or take one either direction, that number of students will be what takes up 50% of my time. So somewhere between 6 and 7 students are what takes up half of my time as an instructor, and the other 36 don't. They just kind of go right on through. And the same thing is in business. If you take this, the square root of the number of customers you have, that number will be half of your sales. And also that, and it also goes with productivity of employees. That if you take the square root of number of employees you have, that number will do half the work in a business. And anybody who's ever worked any place, if you really think about it, you know that you have these uber productive people, and there's a very few of them, and then you have just, you know, normal employees, and then you have, yeah, I'll say out of 100 employees, you'll have 10 that are go-getters, 10 that are kind of slackers, and then 80 that are just regular employees come and do their 8 to 5 and then going about their business. Okay, planning and coordinating a movement of products such as raw materials and to final consumers is called
Supply chain management.
chain management, and you have to manage your supply chain. Blank is a subset of supply chain management that focuses largely on the tactics involved in the actual movement of products. Okay. Once again, English is hard. Blank is a subset of supply chain management that focuses largely on the tactics involved in the actual movement of products, than on strategy.
Logistics.
Logistics. Getting products from one place to the other can be complicated. Can be complicated. I had a nephew. He worked. He had a job for a year or two. I don't remember how long it was, and he was one of the guys who would follow the trucks around that did the windmill blades as they came through town. And he has some real stories about getting some of those windmill blades through a town or around a corner. Which of the following modes of transportation has the most extensive availability?
Trucks.
Absolutely. Over the road CDL truck drivers, that is the, if it still is, it is the one of the most popular jobs for men, mostly who only graduated high school, who had no college or any other like vocational skill. And part of that is because at one time, I don't know how it is now, that you could make a lot of money if you were an over the road truck driver. You could do you could do very well, raise a family. I think you still can. It's just not like it used to be.
No, it used to. It now goes more towards women too. I know because I used to be one, and I used to own 2 trucks, so I know this. You can make some. You can make a killing.
But and you could also kill yourself. I think I see a lot of. It's not a healthy lifestyle. In fact, my one of my best friend from the Army, he's having health issues because he spent so many years as an over road truck driver, not taking care of his health and diabetes and things of that nature. So that's a rough life.
It is,
I
but
don't
you have to be educated to do it too. I know a lot of people who are very educated and do this and do drive truck because they make more money than what they would being behind the office.
Plus, you know, my wife probably want me to be away from home that long. She would. She probably, in fact, if she heard this, she'd probably encourage me to get my CDL today. A firm's blank is a percentage of total market for a product that is controlled by it. That would be market share, right? Market share is how much the market you control in your business. All right, let's finish up these last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we can get out of this class because, you know, it's Monday and nobody likes it. Oh, and I didn't tell the last class. I'm going to tell you guys, and I will send an email here that there will be, we're going to have to push next Monday's class back we're going to push next Monday's class to Tuesday. Just one time, we have a program advisory committee meeting and it was scheduled. Bob scheduled it for Monday night, next Monday night, I believe. I'll have to double check and make sure I send my email out correctly. So it is right in the middle of when we're supposed to have our class, and I've got to be at the meeting. So blank is a new product pricing strategy that aims to capture as much of the market as possible through rock bottom pricing. Anybody?
Trading price.
Very good. Penetration pricing. Okay, blank is a long-term discount pricing strategy designed to achieve profitability through high sales volume. Anybody? Is that everyday? Is that everyday low pricing? I can't remember this one now. It is. They got. Oh, it's puppy. You know, and volume sales. I said that's more of a retail strategy. You know, if you have, you want to sell, you can cut your price, but you can sell a lot of it. And I know places, when we was talking about fuel earlier, I say they didn't make a whole lot of money out of fuel, but there were places back when I was a young man, I worked for a company and we repaired gas stations, you know, gas pumps and all other stuff. That was basically what we did. We were a service company. And we used to work on the big cabin truck stop a lot. And they sold a lot of fuel out of there, a lot. And so, you know, that kind of volume, you do make a little bit of money. Blank is a new product pricing strategy that aims to maximize profitability by offering new products at a premium price. Anybody?
I think that's skimming. I think.
Absolutely. And we saw a lot of this when a new product comes out, and especially those life-changing products that we've all seen come out. For us older people, I don't know if you remember, I remember my mom and dad when they bought their first VCR. That thing was expensive. And so that was like a big chunk of gold my dad brought home. And I don't know, for the first couple of years, like he was the only one allowed to even touch the thing, because you know they paid $700 or $800 for the first ER we ever had. And then we went through that with, you know, through DVD players, Blu-ray, and then, you know, we also did that through other products like trying to think of one, the iPad. What was the one that had the music one? What is it? What was the music player Apple did?
MP3 player.
Yeah, the MP3 player. iPod. Okay. Because the MP3 player was the was the generic one, but the iPod was the fancy Apple one. Because I remember spending a ton of money on those for the kids as well when they were a big deal. I think they actually got iPod minis, if I remember what we bought them. Okay, break-even analysis is best described. It determines the best mode of transportation. Nope. It determines the actual cost of a product depending on its demand. Determines the number of units a firm must sell to cover its cost, and determines the target consumers to achieve profit. We've already covered that. What do we have to? How many do we have to sell to cover our costs? We don't make any money. We just break even. And like I said, that was our last week's discussion question in business math. Blank is a strategy that will decrease a company's break-even point. Increasing variable costs, hiring more employees, reducing fixed costs, and leasing expensive equipment. Well, if we want to just decrease your break-even point, we're going to have to reduce some sort of cost, right? And what I'll tell you, if you ever run a business, usually in most businesses, the most expensive cost you will have to your business are employees. Payroll. Payroll will always be the big one. And last question. The blank is a gap between the cost of and the price of an item on a per product basis. That is your profit margin, guys and gals and peoples. Okay. So we've covered that. Hope that helps some people out. We have 3 minutes, but I'm going to go ahead and hit stop on the recording.